Hey guys, welcome to this video. Today is a Scrawlrbox unboxing video, and this Scrawlrbox is actually from November, but it took me a few months to get around to doing it, and because I live in the US, it does take a while to ship to me, so there is that. So let's get into what is in this box. Obviously based on the title of this video, you know the main item, but along with that, we got LinkedIn 300 GSM Watercolor Pad. We need a paper to paint on, obviously, and I really did enjoy this paper. It's very nice and smooth. However, I will say if you overwork the paper, it will start to pill just a little bit. It's not too bad, but definitely worse than some other papers that I've used before. We also got a Derwent Graphite pencil, which is a water-soluble graphite pencil. These are always fun to use, but I never really know how to use them or what, so I probably didn't use it to the best of its ability, but it's always fun to have. The next and main item that we got was the Derwent Graphite paint set. So this is a really unique paint set. I've never heard of anything like it, but it has graphite in the paint. So the little description it says in the little thing that they give you says that these paints include a unique blend of colored graphite that are designed to create subtle, muted tones with a beautiful graphite sheen. The paints contain fine graphite particles that settle into the paper grain to create a myriad of stunning effects. So it's really unique for sure. I just spray them down with a little water bottle. It also comes with this little paintbrush, which is always nice. These aren't my favorite paintbrushes, if I'm being honest, but if you are trying to paint while you're traveling, they're really handy because there's water in the actual paintbrush itself. However, I've always had a problem cleaning the paintbrushes. Obviously you have that sponge there, but I feel like it's not always adequate. Again though, if you're just out sketching in the middle of wherever, I guess it is adequate. So these paints, like I said already, are really unique. They're definitely like more dull, muted colors, which I actually kind of like. I feel like a lot of watercolors are kind of like bright, and I don't tend to go for bright colors. I actually tend to go for more muted colors, so it's kind of fun playing with these. However, the texture of them can be a little bit odd. If you pick up too much of the paint, it almost has like a slimy texture. I don't really know how else to describe it. I know that sounds weird. When it's on the paper, if you picked up a lot of the pigment, it did kind of have this weird, almost slimy feel, but if you didn't pick up a ton of pigment, then you were fine and it felt like normal watercolors. But I think you did have to be kind of careful about layering these, definitely making sure each layer was dry before adding another layer. The prompt for the month, which obviously I'm way late for, was liquid landscape. So I wanted to paint a landscape, but with the graphite pencil, it seemed kind of difficult to incorporate that like gray washed out color into a landscape. So I didn't really know what to do with that. Here, I was just kind of playing around with adding color and trying to mix the colors and just, I don't know, experimenting a little bit before I got into the actual piece that I wanted to paint. In their little pamphlet also, this artist had several paintings that they had done. They were very impressionistic for the most part. It seemed like basically they put some pigment down and then put a bunch of water and then added some paint to it and kind of let it flow and do its own thing, but had enough control over it that you could kind of see that maybe there were some trees and maybe there was a skyline or something. But it was very interesting. So for my actual piece, I found a picture online because I was not about to do this without a reference, and I found a little landscape that I wanted to paint, and that seemed like it would work with this color palette. It had a very like yellowy background to it, so I decided to go with that. And then for the tape, I actually decided to tear it in half so that I could get some textured edges. I didn't want it to be perfect, so I didn't want to have perfectly straight lines. I wanted it to be kind of like wiggly and unique, and that's why I ripped the tape like that. So the actual artwork that I decided to do is kind of like a mountainside sort of, but a lot of like yellow and green grass. I don't really know how else to describe it. I've definitely never painted anything like this. For the most part, I don't paint landscapes, and if I do, I feel like I normally put colored pencil over top to add the details. So I was really trying to actually get the details with just the paint alone and not having to add additional art supplies to this. I just wanted to see if I could do it. And for sure, it's possible, but I'm an impatient person, so the act of waiting for the paint to dry before adding more on top of it is difficult for me. So I think there were a few times in here you can see I brought out my heat gun so that I could dry the paint faster so I could continue on. With some paints, the heat gun will actually warp the way that it looks. So to some extent, it'll warp the paper sometimes if you're using it too close or too hot. So I think a blow dryer might actually be better because you can use cool air instead of using hot air. And sometimes some of the watercolors or paint will react to the heat, so that's not always necessarily a good thing, but it makes it dry faster. And these paints didn't really seem to have much of a reaction to the heat, so it was fine. I tried to add some colors that I typically wouldn't add, like the blues and like maroons and stuff down in the bottom right corner. That's not something I would typically do, but looking at the picture, it is there, even though you wouldn't really think about it. Anyway, that is it for this piece. I hope you enjoyed it. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye!